Hi guys, I'm Alex Holmstrom, and this is Alex at Bat. Today we got Jason Holmstrom. When it comes to anything to do with current or throwback sports news, athletics, highlights, big plays, we will always be at bat. In today's episode, we will discuss our Super Bowl 57 reactions, especially to the Eagles' loss and the Chiefs' win. First up.
My reaction, originally sadness. The first half was a lot of fun, scoring well. Let's see, we had in first quarter, both teams scored. We scored first possession, I believe.
And Chiefs did the same thing.
And Chiefs came back.
Drive.
So we knew we had a good game. I was excited about the prospect of the back and forth, and it did kind of continue. The Eagles opened up in the second quarter. That was a big one for them. There was one touchdown to start it off. The Chiefs came back, scored another touchdown. Then the Eagles came back and scored another and finished off the half with a field goal. So what it was, 24-14 heading into halftime. At one point, it didn't look good for Mahomes. So it was like I didn't really want to see that from an NFL standpoint, from an NFL fan, football fan standpoint. Mahomes go down, but on the other hand, I was like, man, 10 points. Mahomes may or may not be back second half, and boy, did they come back second half.
Definitely was frustrated to watch, but it's also started to make me realize about the Eagles. They've been a first half team all season long. And I started to realize, they've been getting away with it pretty much all year. And then finally on the biggest stage, it really did not work out for them. I know they were really using a lot of their offensive power. In the first half, they looked really good. And then once the second half hit, it started to really fall off. I know it happened a couple times throughout the season, but, it's not going to happen with the Chiefs, with that talent on the offensive side with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid play calling. It's really hurt the Eagles the most.
They might have been getting away with it. I guess that's one way to put it. Speaking of things that they did all season long, they ran that ball all season long. They would run, and you saw flashes of that. Running the ball on third down, a lot of third downs successfully. But I was kind of surprised at how much they were passing. I loved it. That some really, really beautiful passing. There was beautiful pass to Devontae, although I think that one got called back. The amazing touchdown, that first touchdown, or was it the second touchdown, to
A.J. Brown.
To A.J. Brown. Sweet pass on 3rd and 14 to Goddard to convert to first down. So there was some really amazing passing, to the point where, not to get all hyperbolic about it, but I was looking at Jalen Hurts passing that ball on the biggest stage with extreme accuracy and proficiency, and I really felt as though I was looking at the future. I know you look at it, if you're trying to see the forest from the trees, it's hard because the loss hurts so badly, and all you can see is the bad things, and all you can feel are the bad things. But if you go back and you look at some of those passing plays, especially, because we all know they could run, and we knew Jalen was a proficient passer, but man, did he show his mettle last night.
I definitely agree, and I know some people might disagree with me on this, but I have to say this. Jalen Hurts outplayed one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He beat him he had more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes. The offense had more total yards. They beat Patrick Mahomes in time of possession, but none of those matter because they weren't able to win, but it just shows how much Jalen Hurts can perform well on the biggest stage against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
And, the defense, I believe, wasn't the defense that we've come to expect. I don't even recall hearing Hassan Reddick's name being mentioned. It's like against San Francisco, the guy was single-handedly running through quarterbacks. They were down to fourth string, and then they ended up going back to Brock Purdy just because he was wrecking everybody. And you just didn't hear. I didn't feel as though the defense was present in the sense that you were hearing those names. No sacks. Were there any sacks?
0 sacks.
0 sacks. I mean, come on. You're talking about best defense in the league against the rush anyway, and like fourth best against the pass, and nothing. It was a shame, and maybe some calls that didn't go the Eagles' way, but I'm a firm believer in you don't put yourself in that position where you're relying on a call.
Exactly. I've heard a lot of people today were saying was I think if the Eagles played good throughout that game. Like we're winning the whole time, and it shouldn't. If that was the case, it wouldn't have come down to that play. I know people were saying the same thing about last year, where the Rams were moving down the field, and that one pass interference last year on the Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson, that literally was the turning. I would definitely thought that had to be one of the turning points, but I definitely felt like if the Bengals were dominating them, and that happened, it really wouldn't have made a factor. It could have been like the same thing if the Eagles were playing 4 quarters of football that game. I definitely think that play, if that happened, it really wouldn't have changed that much. And I definitely think that the thing about the Eagles, they really did not play a good 4 quarters of football. The first 2 was good, but I definitely think that they have a great future with Jalen Hurts under center as their quarterback.
I mean, you could make an argument that both teams played great 4 quarters of football. It was 38-35.
And yeah, I mean,
came down to the last 8 seconds of the game. So yeah, I mean, they didn't play as good of quarters in the second half.
Yeah,
as
that's
they
what
did
I was
first.
Trying to make my point. I mean, like it was a good 4 quarters of football. It was just like teams were scoring. This literally reminded me of the Eagles versus Patriots a couple years ago.
Yeah.
High scoring game. A game where you cannot turn your TV off or can't fall asleep,
right?
Like you did.
Thanks for shouting me out on the podcast. Yeah, I did. I missed a lot of that. The last quarter, anyway. I had a weird feeling, but it's
Yeah, I was.
I was tired.
I was literally nervous. You won't believe this. I was literally nervous since I heard that this is going to be a longer halftime show, and I had this weird feeling that.
Was it longer than normal?
That's what they were saying, but it did not feel longer than normal. I
always thought it was like half an hour. They said 29 minutes or something.
Yeah, 29 minutes, and usually they said it was 17. But I was
17. No way.
Yeah,
it's
that's what they.
I thought.
It was usually longer. I definitely felt like if that was the case, if it was way longer than it was supposed to be, I definitely think the Chiefs would use that to advantage to come up with all these like crazy plays, and they definitely used that halftime well because it really helped them. They scored on every single possession in the second half.
They did. I mean, and you can always argue the Chiefs made good on the extra time that they had for halftime. You could make the same argument for the Eagles, kind of perfecting what they had their strategies. I guess at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding, and the Chiefs were putting up the bigger numbers. So they obviously did some kind of recalibration, re-strategizing, and we talked about it last week prior to this whole thing popping off, and that is, the X factor is going to be Andy Reid and his gameplay. But on the other hand, I mean, Sirianni, I don't know. As a fan of football and a fan of the Eagles, as a fan of football, I got to give both teams credit. As a fan of the Eagles, I can't hate on them too much. I kind of wanted to, at some point in this podcast, kind of segue into, yeah, we can talk about the negatives because they lost and it's easy. I mean,
absolutely.
There's no bigger negative than the fact that they took an L. But what would be some of the positives that you took away from the game last night?
I definitely feel like that this loss showed what great future this has for the Eagles moving forward. I know they're going to have to make some big decisions coming up this offseason. But,
in regards to what big decisions do you think?
I know that they're talking about Jason Kelsey. They're saying that the Super Bowl could have been his last game. That's definitely something they'll look into. Miles Sanders, he's going to be a free agent coming up. They're talking about if they should resign him or not. And then we have a lot of free agents. I think I heard like 20 free agents. I don't know for that for sure, but that's what I heard.
Any big names? Any other big names? I mean, A.J. Brown, he's a couple more years, right?
He's in for
Jalen Hurts. We have for another year under his rookie contract, right?
Rookie contract, yeah. His contract goes to the 2023 season.
He's going to sign a big old second contract.
I definitely think he will.
Who else? Devontae?
Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox.
Oh, as far as might be retiring?
They were saying some things like that, but I heard
Fletcher Cox was a name. Not to go back to the negative, but he was a name I didn't hear yesterday at all.
No, I didn't really hear a lot of the D-line players get their name shout out on plays or anything.
Yeah.
But I literally thought Hassan Reddick could have had a big game because Orlando Brown, as I said about last week, about how he allowed the most pressures on the team. So has Andrew Wiley, the Chiefs' right tackle. And I felt like they will really have a good chance of putting pressure on Mahomes. Like, in the first half, I saw they were hitting the quarterback, not that much, but a little bit. That's why Patrick Mahomes' throws weren't that much accurate in the first half. But I definitely felt like that, Andy Reid, you can never be hyped at halftime because you still have 2 more quarters, and you see it all the time, especially with Tom Brady, every single Super
you
Bowl.
give him a second, they're going to take advantage of it.
Especially the year they faced the Falcons, 28-3, and then they come back and win
I
overtime.
saw that reminds me of a headline that I saw when I was cruising the internet today, getting ready for this podcast, and that was they had the audacity to compare the Eagles blowing their lead, the 10-point lead, to the Falcons. Come on, man. That's not even in the same – I don't think in the same category.
And it wasn't –
it was not a complete meltdown. And Jalen Hurts was fighting like a dog to get that.
He has that dog mentality.
He does, man. You talk about addition through subtraction. My view from that loss raised my opinion of him as a quarterback so high.
Just definitely feel
the way that he fought for it. Kind of going back to the changes in the offseason, what's up with the assistant, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles?
Shane Steichen.
Any rumors on him? I'm hearing Colts.
I'm hearing that he's supposed to be getting the Colts job.
Don't do it, dude. Please.
Yeah.
1 more year.
Yeah, definitely.
Deserves it if he gets it, though.
I definitely feel like he deserves it. The way how he helped Jalen Hurts develop into good quarterback, he can do both now. He can run the ball. He's a threat running the ball. He's a threat passing the ball, too.
He was dropping dimes last night.
He was. He was fighting hard. And that's what makes me enjoy watching Jalen Hurts for a long time because this NFL is going to get harder every year. You're going to have, all these young players who stunk, maybe their first couple years, and they turn out to be absolute beasts in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
he's evolved so nicely.
And I definitely feel like that. Even when the league gets better when it comes to player-wise, I think he can still handle that and still put up a great show for a long time. He's definitely is definitely a hard worker, a competitor. Especially the thing that happened in college. I think when he transferred to Oklahoma, he had a great year, and that's really what changed the draft for him. And I think that's how he got into the second round. And I think I knew after that he was gonna probably take Carson Wentz's job sometime sooner or later. I definitely felt like he's definitely turned into a future good quarterback for years and years, just like Patrick Mahomes.
I was going to say, we can't overlook the fact. I know we're all hyped on the Eagles and we're riding the bird train all the way home here, but we can't overlook the fact that Mahomes and Reed, they have a dynasty.
They're
on their
literally
hands.
like the Brady and Belichick era.
Yeah, they are. The way, man, Mahomes is such a slippery quarterback in the pocket. The way he just was bouncing off those guys and just never seemed to go down. It's so impressive. It really is. As a fan, I feel like through this podcast, I've paid much closer attention to what's going on than I ever have, and have therefore become a bigger fan of just the game of professional football in general. And I mean, maybe it's just because my eyes are a little bit more open than they used to be, but there's a lot to be excited about throughout the league, and I'm happy that I got to see it this year through the lens of the Eagles. One thing I wanted to ask you, because I know we're kind of winding down on time here, but you and me, big Eagles fans, a lot of people around here, big Eagles fans. Yeah. Eagles took the loss. What do you think, in your opinion, since like you're kind of coming to grips with the loss and dealing with it, because it can be kind of depressing, but how do you think fans in general or Eagles fans specifically should look at this, or how can they look at it and make themselves feel a little bit better?
My message to any Eagles fans watching this, or any Eagles fans around the world, my thing I would say is that we're going to go back to the Super Bowl before Jalen Hurts retires.
Preach.
And I think that he will definitely win another Super Bowl, and sooner or later, sometime, we are going to be partying on Broad Street coming up.
Yep.
So you'll definitely have something to look forward to during Jalen Hurts' career. This is not the end. I know, you hear all these like people, these media saying like, oh yeah, when a quarterback loses, they never go to Super Bowl. I mean, like with Jalen Hurts, I literally can't see that happening. He can go against the best and put on the show.
And I think we're always going to get our money's worth when we watch. I mean, win, lose, draw, when you go to an Eagles game and he's QBing, you're always going to get your money's worth. And I like one thing that I was going to say as a way to kind of get over this big loss is just to lean into the positive, kind of like what you're talking about as far as looking to the future. This morning the news was on, the Philadelphia local news was on, and usually I hate the news because it's so negative. I mean, it's like this person was murdered in Kensington, this person was run over in South Philly, blah 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 blah. This morning, I'm sure there was some of that too, but this morning, as soon as they started talking about the Eagles, I'm like, oh man, I don't even think I can deal with the news this morning, because I had checked my phone before the news came on the television, and on my phone I'm reading these articles about how people are running through Philadelphia saying F the Chiefs, and I'm thinking, oh God, the news is just going to hop onto that negativity. Complete opposite. Yeah. They went through and they were interviewing fans after the game, coming out of the bars, coming out of the the places that they were watching the games, and it was a lot of positivity. It was like, we're proud of our boys, we're proud of those birds, we have something to look forward to for next year. They gave us what we wanted as a fan. It would have been great to get the Super Bowl, but we're just happy for that. So I thought that was cool.
Absolutely. I definitely think that was cool. I mean, like, just like, I understand, we're definitely Eagles fans, and there's a lot of people who had negative things to say, and I definitely understand their frustration, but I definitely feel like that frustration won't, like, make anything feel better. This is starting to remind me of something, this Eagles loss, and it's weird for me to say this, but it is true.
What is
it? When Donovan McNabb was our quarterback,
yes,
he first Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
First
what was
time.
that, 2008?
February 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Jeez.
And I remember Andy Reid was a coach.
It's before you were born.
It's crazy. We don't have to bring that up, but yeah, you're right. So I remember.
I went to sleep during the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he went to sleep during the fourth quarter. Tom Brady was going to win anyway, so he's like, forget it. But anyways, that's not the point. So my point was, they already started their name during that year. Tom Brady was in his 5th year in the league, and that name, Brady and Belichick era, started to become a thing. And now it's a Mahomes and Reid era starting to become a thing. And then back to the Brady and Belichick thing, 13 years later, we versed them again. We finally beat them.
Yeah.
And that's what's starting to get me reminded of the Chiefs. Like, if we verse the Chiefs again and...
It's ours.
Yeah, that's what it's starting to remind me of. It can be ours this time. And that definitely is my thought. Definitely keep your high hopes up, Eagles fans.
What's the GM's name for the Eagles?
Howie Roseman. He's done a great job.
Howie Roseman. Howie, man, you need to keep those guys around. Whatever you got to do to sign them, keep them in town.
Yeah.
I know no fan wants to see the team get broken up. The band, we don't want to see the band get broken up. But it would be nice to see a lot of those faces back. Because when we go to the game next year, because we will be going to the games next year, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be, I feel like I'm gonna be looking for those familiar faces, and I hope that we see them. I hope Sanders is back. It's gonna be fun watching Devontae and AJ Brown go long. It's
one of the best
Jalen.
duos in the NFL, I think.
Absolutely. It'll be nice the fact that you'll be driving next year. Did you think about that? The next time we're going to the game,
that's true. I'm gonna have to drive through that Philly traffic.
No, we'll have the train. That's one thing. That was one thing that I was gonna say as far as like getting over that loss. Because what I learned about football this year is there's so much more to it than just the game itself. The game is obviously the reason that we're there. But one thing going to a couple games, especially doing it the way we did it, hopping the trains, riding in, through Center City into NRT Station, coming out with the crowd and the sea of green, going into that stadium with all the fans, being part of that just envisioning that in my head, that kind of helps soothe the loss a little bit, because that puts things into perspective.
And definitely, I definitely want to bring this up before we end our podcast. A last thing I wanted to talk about was, what do you think the Eagles should definitely do to win it all next year? What are, do you think, free agency wise, coaching wise, what do you think should be changed?
I am no genius. I'm not even going to pretend like I know what the heck I'm talking about as far as power moves in the off season. So I'm going to give a very easy vanilla answer, and that is just keep everything the same. Shore up some weaknesses. You got some older guys that obviously you want to start thinking about, who's going to be the future center, who's going to be over the ball every snap. You're going to start thinking about replacing some of those big name defensive guys. So I would get some guys. I would bring some young talent in the fold to shore up either the weaknesses or potential weaknesses in the future moving forward, just because of age. But otherwise, man, I love the fact that we're going to have Sirianni back as our coach. I love the fact we're going to have Hurts and a lot of weapons. I love it. If Sanders comes back, I hope he does. Good. If not, man, we got Scott and Gainwell. And Gainwell had a nice little couple runs in the Super Bowl as well. So
absolutely, I
don't know. What do you think? What do you think some moves
are? I definitely think that the question everybody on the Philadelphia Eagles are sharing their hatred towards our defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon.
Really?
I'm literally God, I think
Philly always has to find somewhere to put that hate.
But I definitely feel like just because his coverages, I think that's why he's played a lot of soft zone coverage. I think that's why. I definitely think because
soft zone is that the reason that Travis Kelce was just tearing it up?
That probably could be why. I mean,
that dude
Marcus Epps, our safety, he looked lost covering Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
he made him it was like a little kid covering Kelce or trying to, I don't know, find
Travis Kelce physically makes everybody look like a little kid. The dude's freaking huge.
He really does. Man. And he literally, I think he led the team in receiving yards.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, for a big guy. He just makes everything.
How about our local boy, Pacheco? Vineland native, out of Rutgers University.
He went to Vineland High School.
I mean, I'm not, obviously he was playing for the wrong team, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Definitely was pretty cool. I don't ever remember someone from Oh no, actually I take it back. Joe Flacco, when he won the Super Bowl,
what are you talking about? And then the running back, Corey Clement.
From Glassboro High School. I just haven't remember it happening in a little bit. That's why I started
Super Bowl
forget
champion,
it. But
Corey Clemens.
It has happened a while, so you always feel it's always cool to see the New Jersey people
represent.
Yeah, because you never really see a lot of the New Jersey people.
So that's
Super Bowl.
That is my suggestion for the off season is for Philly to come over to New Jersey and recruit as many people out of New Jersey as possible, because obviously we have capable talent coming out here. So
Definitely sounds like it.
that is not sound advice, but it is my advice.
Definitely. And I definitely think we'll put an end to this video.
To wrap it up.
Time to wrap it up. Definitely was a good season to look forward to. This is Jason Holmstrom and me, Alex Holmstrom, signing off on the Just Go For It podcast. See you next episode for a basketball topic.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Ball.
Bye.